好啦，各位網友知咩事啦？又要加班啦，又要號外突發啦。咁啊，話說咧就係香港時間嘅3月1號凌晨啦，或者係即係呢個美國時間嘅2月28號啦嚇。咁就澤連斯基咧就如期咧就到訪白宮嚇咁樣。咁啊，本來以為早啲嘅，我以為係即係我以為係琴晚會知道嘅新聞啦咁樣。咁但係咧就去到今朝咧，香港時間咧就擘大眼咧就哇！整單咁嘅嘢咁樣。咁咧就呢集號外咧就想同大家咧分析下呢個都算係外交史上一個經典，就係兩個國家鬧交咁樣嘅，兩個國家元首喺度直播場面度鬧交。嗱，當然可以如果有網友認為咧呢個話題當然一個好個背景係好嚴肅，同埋一個好不幸嘅事件，就係因為俄羅斯入侵烏克蘭啦咁樣。咁但係呢，即係我覺得會好多節目或者好多頻道呢，就都係會用一種即係我想用另一個角度去同大家探討今次呢場咁嘅鬧交啦。咁所以呢，可能當中呢會有少少即係有時會有少少滑稽嘅評論方法。咁希望大家唔好誤會啦嚇，就我並不是話覺得呢啲嘅大戰爭係一件兒戲嘅事。咁就個背景呢，如果有啲網友冇跟得好足的話呢，咁歡迎大家收看先呢個 CC 新聞啦嚇。OK，因為有啲可能呢個話題會有啲新嘅朋友。咁啊，我係 Kelvin 啦。咁啊我哋呢個頻道1至日嘅1點鐘呢，就都會有節目有片上嘅。咁啊1至5裏邊呢，我有4、5日呢都要做 live 嘅。咁啊同大家講好多唔同嘅新聞咁樣。咁啊間唔時都有啲咁嘅號外事情發生啦咁樣。好啦，嗱個背景呢，就係俄烏戰呢個 deal，亦都係 Donald Trump 好睇重嘅一個協議啦。希望馬上去結束呢個呢場戰爭啦，亦都咧第一顯示佢一個雕王嘅實力係咪啊？第二咧，亦都可以繼續踩爆呢個拜登係咪？或者踩爆呢個民主黨。咁啊第三咧就係傾完呢個協議之後咧，佢就可以集中資源咧就擺喺亞洲嗰度啦。所以呢個 deal 咧係非常之重要嘅。好啦，咁啊就對於烏克蘭嚟講咧，或者澤連斯基嚟講咧，咁佢當然係希望。我哋咁樣睇一件事呢，就係話我哋如果講緊國際關係或者任何一啲咁樣嘅交涉呢，其實都係牽涉利益啫嘛。就係你想要啲乜嘢，或者你最起碼要啲乜嘢，你希望最好嘅 terms 係乜嘢咁樣。對於澤連斯基嚟講，起碼嘅梗係停戰啦，係咪先？係嘛？但係呢，佢想要呢，仲有兩樣嘢，就係要翻失去咗嘅國土嚇。同埋咧有一個叫做安全嘅保障，即係話如果俄羅斯再入侵，咁點算呢？就咁嘅情況咁樣。好啦，咁其實咧就喺上個禮拜咧，就竟然係由財相咧 Scott Bessent 咧就走去先見澤連斯基。嗱，我都評論過呢個好奧妙一件事嚟嘅。點解第一個唔係外相 Marco Rubio？或者唔係白宮安全顧問 Mike Waltz 咧咁樣，係咪代表唔信任佢咁樣呢？唔係，你見到呢，就即係話將呢個俄烏嘅協議呢，同呢個叫做商業利益呢，就捆綁啦。咁嗱，呢集節目呢，你可以完全發表你對 Donald Trump 嘅不滿或者贊成，或者對澤連斯基嘅支持反對都冇所謂。但呢個唔係我角度，即係你有你講。OK， 我係想從咩角度去同大家分享呢？就係點解會個 deal 會變而現階段會變成咁樣嗱？但我想講結論先，我唔認為個 deal 會破裂，我反而認為咧，其實雙方咧係更加有需要傾成 deal嘅嗱。呢個我初步我依家睇法，但係啲嘢變得好快嘅，係咪先？咁你可能我節目出街即係唔好話聽日啦，甚至節目出街可能個世界都唔同咗嗱。但係呢一刻我嘅評論咧，我係仲覺得個 deal 咧其實仲有需要傾成嘅兩方面，我陣間解釋點解。咁好啦，首先講翻咧就係話，當 Scott Bessent 咧走去同佢傾嘅時候咧，佢之前接受訪問，佢有講成個計劃嘅，就係話嗱，第一樣嘢，Donald Trump而家咧就要錢 ，OK， 即係大家有冇睇呢個黑社會2嚇？鄭浩南加錢啦咁樣，咁佢要填嗰條數，佢要盡快減少個財赤，減少個發債，要 American Great Again，OK 咁樣。咁另外佢之前佢哋條 Party Line 咧。嗱，成個共和黨嘅 party line 咧，都係覺得點解要咁樣長期軍援賭錢落去呢個烏克蘭而見唔到任何成果？呢個係佢哋對於拜登政權嘅指控嚟嘅。所以調翻轉呢，佢哋第一方面要 結束戰爭，同埋唔再抌水。好啦，咁但係個問題啦，就係如果你又唔抌水，你點樣確保個戰爭呢？嗱，於是就諗一條橋，就話嗱，我哋又要稀土，你就諗下有乜嘢着數啦？對於美國嚟講，原來你烏克蘭呢有好多礦產啊資源啊，仲要喺烏東喎，嗱咁就得啦，就要諗一條天橋，嗱你就俾啲資源我嚇，我就會保護我啲資產，咁變相我咪保護你呢啲地區咯。總之你唔好理我點做，俄羅斯普京咧就會睇我台戲，總之就唔會搞嗰啲地方噶啦。你信我啦，咁樣啊，即係就你信我得噶啦，即係咁樣。OK， 咁澤連斯基咧就係第一個佢唔即時應承嘅。第一個原因就可能係個金額太大啦。嗱，有啲陰謀論就係話佢某啲礦產咧就經已俾咗，即係嗰啲利益就經已分咗出去啦。呢啲我唔評論，我唔知嚇。咁第二個咧就係話，喂，我俾咗礦產你，或者俾咗部分礦產利益你有冇個 security guarantee 俾我先？嗱，呢兩個字呢，就係澤連斯基最重要想得到嘅回報，同埋今次鬧交嘅導火線之一，我就要一個 security guarantee。但呢樣嘢嗱，恕我嘅無知啦，其實點樣達到呢？ security guarantee 即係話你要確保俄羅斯永遠都唔打你，點樣做到呢？你咪長期駐兵呢？定係長期要俾啲精良嘅武器烏克蘭呢？喂，咁咪冇變過，係嘛？咁同埋美國點可以俾一個長期嘅協定你呢？或者 Donald Trump 點樣俾個長期協定你呢？咁樣，或者即係或者佢覺得佢未諗到啦，或者佢有嘅，但計個條數唔得啦咁樣。於是呢，呢個位就傾唔埋啦。但係都係要傾，所以呢，澤連斯基呢就喺琴日，即係節目出街嘅琴日呢，就嚟到白宮傾啦。好啦，而家成個媒體咧，全部都係報導佢哋鬧交嗰幕。嗱，首先同大家講，成條片呢係直播45分鐘左右嘅，即係佢通常呢啲咁嘅元首會談呢，就一個就坐喺呢個咁樣嘅即係坐呢個廳，兩個就坐喺梳化度呢，就傾偈，就見下記者。咁有閉門會議啦，咁仲有啲呢就傾完啦，就企喺度咧就發表個聲明咁樣。咁其實佢哋有發表聲明先嘅，嗰 part 唔好嚟，因為重點就係呢一個咁樣嘅對談同埋見記者。嗱，首先係45分鐘，頭嗰半個鐘咧係冇乜嘢嘅。嗱，大家要記住呢樣嘢先。OK， 如果唔係咧有個錯誤嘅事實，一嚟到就鬧交，唔係傾咗半個鐘咧，其實 OK 嘅。Donald Trump 嘅態度咧好明顯㗎啦。你要講你嘅事，咁澤連斯基喺個立場，梗係不斷咁批評，梗係要批評譴責俄羅斯普京，亦都好合理啊，亦都值得譴責。Trump 係唔理你嘅，有你講，你有你講，我淨係想快啲完咗一啲嘅啫，咁樣。好啦，突然之間去到鬧交，嗱，我想同大家講下，究竟個鬧交嘅導火線係咩呢？嗱，呢個係值得探討嘅。OK， 咁所以咧今日咧我會同大家播少少個片段。我係想俾多啲角度去大家去睇呢件事嚇，咁都可稱之為外交史上一個即係一個匪夷所思嘅真人 show 啦，就係兩個總統喺現場度鬧交俾大家睇咁樣。其實唔單止兩個總統，加埋個副總統，3個喺度鬧交，其實乜叫都聽唔到咁樣。嗱，先播一開始嘅時候呢，其實係 OK 嘅。OK， 嗱，俾大家。嗱，你見到一開始咧係客客氣氣嘅，你有你講，我有我講咁樣。
In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals.
嗱，呢度咧佢就講緊就係話，因為Donald Trump就講緊就話烏克蘭啲礦產咁樣，咁然後一直講到歐洲，跟住澤連斯基就講到話，其實我哋都有啲商業價值對同歐洲去傾嘅，譬如話啲天然氣啊、儲存咁樣。嗱，當中咧就傾到歐洲利益嗰度咧，就有個好過癮嘅一幕，嗱，俾大家睇下嘅。呢幕應該就冇乜人報道噶啦，就係Donald Trump咪例牌咧就去嚼歐洲咧就唔 Q 俾錢啦，俾好少啦。因為澤連斯基咧其實係喺歐洲嗰邊咧就不斷咁去游說支援噶嘛。喂，咁人哋支持咗你，你都要幫佢講翻啲説話噶嘛，係咪先咁樣？咁咧就澤連斯基就同阿 Donald Trump 咧就隔咗幾劍嘅，咁啊都好好笑嗰度啦，俾你睇下啦。
Yes, our friends that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. Really, they did. I
They gave a
think
lot, but they gave much less.
no,
Much less.
no, no.
嗱，你見到呢度係擺明係兩個係隔劍嘅，即係話嗱，我有講嘅有嘢，你見到成個 vibe 咧都係有種搞笑嘅氣氛嘅。咁喂，Zelensky 係一個喜劇演員嚟㗎嘛 ？OK，Donald Trump 就當然就梗係一個專業嘅 performer 啦，係咪先？你見到呢一幕咧，大家都仍然喺啲分歧上邊咧，嘗試有一個即叫幽默嘅效果。嗱，呢個係好重要，我睇住轉變啊。
Really, they did.
They
I
gave a
think
lot, but they gave much less.
no,
Much less.
no, no.
Okay.
OK，即係佢嗰下 OK 扮翻佢。咁好啦，大家就叫做keep 住呢個玩法。嗱，大家有分歧，但係繼續可以繼續傾落去嘅。
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
嗱，呢度好笑嘅，呢度純粹花絮啫。咁呢啲記者就喂，你咪同普京講嘅，我講啲咩啊？點可以話俾你知？跟住，但係 Trump 啲應對咧，真係爐火純青㗎啦，即係你認真嘅，你咁問呢個問題咁啊，咁啊灑咗就算啦。好啦，嗱開始嚟了啦，就係唔係嗱呢一 part 咧就係講緊 Trump 咧點樣睇做 deal 呢樣嘢，亦都係其中一個可能累積嘅一個火藥咧，就係話。好多反對聲音都係話：喂，你同普京咁 friend 係嘛？搞錯，佢係即係戰爭罪犯嚇，殺人狂魔。你同佢咁 friend，你真係出賣呢個烏克蘭咁嘅樣。你點解唔表態？甚至大家知道近排聯合國裏邊美國佢個態度即係嗰個投票意向竟然同俄羅斯一致啦。咪嗱好啦 ，Trump 咧就講解呢一樣嘢啦。
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
嗱，呢度就奧妙啦，係咪嗱？亦都好多人批評你 JD Vance 嘅，即係話哇你咁樣即係有失國體喺度鬧交咁樣。但係即係我都幾覺得呢個轉接都幾神奇嘅。嗱，佢聽到當初咩啊？最後一個問題啦，咁你咪收工咯，係嘛？嗱 JD Vance 突然間就舉手喎。咁佢係想補飛喎，嗱，咁佢補飛咩咧？就係第一就係抽嗰啲水，即係第一個就反擊，就係話你即係佢意思就係反擊一啲姿態嘢，係咪？你個個都係要姿態有團結啊，咁點啫？咪揦嘢咯咁樣。其實佢係抨擊一啲講空話嘅態度，同埋咧又去抽拜登水嘅，大家聽聽咯。
Hey, I will respond to this. So look. For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
嗱，咁佢對呢個對澤連斯基完全係唔係話攻擊佢喎，咁佢係抽拜登水咗。佢係呢個就同埋抽嗰啲咩講空話嘅喎。嗱，你唔好理你同唔同意唔緊要嘅，即係呢個 JD Vance 佢自己嘅原意啦。咁咪完咯？咦？點解澤連斯基咧 又唔放過 JD Vance 喎。嗱，各位網友記住，成個過程係由去到尾聲 ，JD Vance 突然舉手要補飛抽拜登水，然後澤連斯基咧就咬住唔放，唔係我唔係話澤連斯基有問題啊，即係話澤連斯基咧就成日想回應喎。OK， 大家聽聽咯。
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking.
嗱呢度比較長啲，但係好簡單啫。佢意思即係話，因為你 JD Vance 就話，喂，你得把口講冇用㗎。而家就係我哋 Donald Trump 就係用呢種咁嘅 diplomacy， 我哋用一種外交政策去處理呢啲事咁樣。咁澤連斯基佢之後嘅意思就係話咧，喂，但普京佢違反協定29幾次喎，咁係當喺 Trump 你嘅任期裏邊冇啊，喂，但係奧巴馬時期又有，拜登時期又有，咁你講乜 Q diplomacy 咧？即嗱，佢係咁樣嘅，其實就。
About just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I
he killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but,
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire, all of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What?
嗱，佢就冇得啄住呢個 JD Vance 咗。咁你問我其實咧，我係好想有訪問翻 JD Vance， 即係你有冇後悔嗰下咁樣要回擊啊澤連斯基咧？雖然係佢追住你咬，咁其實咧就幾尖鋭嘅。OK， 呢個問題問得啱嘅，但係嗱個問題就係點咧？就係你咁尖鋭問 JD Vance 係一個辯論友嚟噶嘛，佢實同你拗翻轉頭噶噃咁嘅樣。如果佢冇後悔嘅話咧，我就真係有啲懷疑。真係有少少懷疑，嗱呢個係你可以話係極少數陰謀論，但係我解釋完之後咧，你會明白點解我會唔能夠排除一個可能性，就係點解唔係借機發爛，係咪借機發爛渣咧？因為我睇咗幾次都唔需要喺呢啲位嗰度咧，突然間起降喎。嗱咁啦，澤連斯基突然間咧就咬住 JD Vance， 你講乜 Q 嘅 diplomacy 咧咁樣？咁 JD Vance 就還拖啦咁樣樣。
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect.
嗱，唔知點解係咪有啲牙齒印咧？你如果用翻對上嗰半個鐘頭嘅灑酒方法咧 ，JD Vance 就係話，即係你可以用幾種答法，一係就話一個 diplomacy 咧，一定要好睇嗰個政府或者總統嘅嗰個信任度、個權威同兩方面嘅關係。咁你見到我哋Donald Trump咪做到呢樣嘢嘅話，咁咪完咯。咁其實都收工嘅咯 ，OK。嗱，我懷疑咧，佢呢下澤連斯基嘅澤連斯基嘅角度咧係絕對冇錯。其實講啲我100% 同意啊。其實啱嘅，你Donald Trump如果落咗任之後，咁嗱同普京 friend 嗰個唔喺度啦，咁你點算咧？咁樣，但係又諗喎呢個問題，呢個問題有第一樣嘢，咁係冇辦法㗎。你想美國點咧？即係調翻轉又問啦，又係嗰個問題啦。乜嘢叫做 security guarantee 咧？其實係冇絕對答案嘅。但係喺澤連斯基嘅角度就係話，我俾得呢個咁樣嘅礦產協議你，其實佢想拗多啲啫嘛，即係佢想要你加翻價啫嘛，係嘛？嗱，佢又冇喺 Donald Trump 面前咁講喎，佢可能覺得，咦？你 JD Vance 即趌個頭出嚟，係嘛？你即趌個頭出嚟，冇啦啦喺度抽拜登水啊，咁就得啦，我食住上。嗱，冇錯啦，係咯， 呢啲咁嘅嗱，Donald Trump 得啫，嗱拜登又唔得，奧巴馬又唔得，係咪先？Donald Trump 你真係好得啦，但如果 Donald Trump 落台咁點算啊？咁你講咁冇用㗎咁樣。嗱呢個第一咧就其實係講價嘅，嗱講價咧就好少公開到咁樣講。咁但係可能澤連斯基就覺得嗱，我做翻我本分，我就公開就要你俾個價錢我，你加多啲嘢咁樣。佢又知道你 GD1 就答唔到嘅。咁但係第二個問題咧，呢度就牽涉到就係話你即係話咧，其實唔單止針對總統，你係針對緊美國嘅權威咯。因為你言下嗱，因為任何總統都得個8年嘅啫嘛。咁你如果咁講咧，就任何總統嘅協定都係冇用嘅咯噃。嗱，可能呢一樣嘢咧，就令到 GD1 就話唔得啦，我而家就要捍衞翻美國專業，咁我就同你拗過啦，就情況如下。
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what
Remember
you're doing.
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing
I'm
cards.
serious.
You're gambling with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what you're
You're
thinking
gambling
about?
with
What you're
World
thinking
War
about?
III.
我其實知道我都會有人咧，係咪加個音樂落去咧？喂，其實你講緊係自己一唱一和，係咪一唱一和喺度？嗱，我正常嘅分析咧 ，OK， 我就同大家即係咁樣講。成個本來咧，理應呢啲咁嘅會面咧，就傾完就算數噶啦。嗱，當中 Donald Trump 咧就梗係講佢講套咧就梗噶啦。咁你有吉士嘅，你有技巧嘅，你咪夾翻嗰啲咯。譬如話馬克龍咁樣都夾翻佢啊，係咪？咁同埋頭先，譬如澤連斯基都夾得好好啊，即係唔係啊佢俾噶啦？唔係佢俾好多，唔係佢俾好少，咁大家猜兩板咁樣，呢啲都 OK 啦。嗱，唔知點解就橫空彈咗個 JD1 就最後咧就夾咗個問題嗱，大家見到轉接。咁其實佢係抽拜登水，咁啊澤連斯基就無啦啦就針對 diplomacy 呢一樣嘢喎。嗱，如果你唔信 diplomacy， 其實冇嘢好做喎，講真，係咪先？你而家呢個場合就 diplomacy 嚟噶嘛？咁我覺得佢係叫價啫，即係我因為我簽咧，我冇得再講，呢個我最後場合就向美國叫價，你俾多啲嘢我，係嘛？或者我俾啲國民睇到，嗱，我係盡量為烏克蘭爭取最大利益。其實佢係冇 cast 㗎，的確事實啦，係嘛？但係佢第一佢盡量爭取，第二佢有最後一張 Trump 卡，就係我真係俾俄羅斯入侵咗，你美國承唔承擔得起先？嗱，呢個就係佢最後嘅本撇啫嘛，即係最後嘅躺平嘅一張卡，即係佢唔係佢又唔係躺平，即係你美國真係唔資助我，咁我真係唔夠俄羅斯啦，咁我咪玉石俱焚先，咁係咪你孭先呢條數？嗱，呢個係澤連斯基最接近唯一嘅牌嚟嘅，你問我就嚇，而呢張牌係的確，我認為對美國都係有殺傷力嘅，即係美國唔可以冇理嗱，除非你同我講，其實美國係可以任由烏克蘭俾俄羅斯入侵晒，我乜嘢武器都唔俾，乜嘢情報都唔俾咁嘅樣，咁我又冇得講啦。但係呢，你睇即係睇之前嘅事情發展又唔係啊，佢係好急於去傾成個 deal 啊，係嘛？所以我嘅假設就係話， 其實 Donald Trump 美國，我假設咋，佢唔可以任由烏克蘭咧被團滅嘅。而烏克蘭最大嘅最後嘅威脅武器咧，就係話你唔幫我嘅話咧，我團滅咧就冚球產咁樣。基於呢樣嘢之下咧，你一定要某程度上幫我。嗱，我亦都俾咗個能源協議你，咁你着數晒啦。你幫我就應該，你唔好話應該，即係你幫我係合理，而我亦都俾咗嘢你，咁我就要多一啲嘢啫。咁樣。咁但係呢個要多啲嘢化喺JD Vance 嘅角度咧，就變咗做你真唔信我哋美國能夠 enforce 到呢樣嘢啦。但係有你自己講噶嘛，有拜登廢噶嘛。OK， 好啦，跟住然後咧。今日澤連斯基咧又講到去到一樣嘢，就升級到一個叫戰爭威脅論，就係話我如果真係唔掂嘅話咧，其實你仲大鑊，美國，你唔好以為你隔住個海好安全喎。俄羅斯真係剪平咗烏克蘭嘅話咧，就算隔住個海，你美國人都會擔心喎。嗱，咁呢度去到美國人嘅直接威脅論咧，今日 Donald Trump 咧就夾咗頭出嚟啦，跟住就兩邊喺度炒大交啦咁樣。嗱，呢個係個過程嚇，其實咧就都幾 game theory 嘅。大家如果有讀 game theory 就係話理應咧最理想嘅情況咧，根據大家個利益咧就傾掂數算數啦。但係 game theory 之神奇咧就係話，當某一個人喺佢嗰個有限嘅判定之下就做咗一個決定，而呢個決定又影響下一個決定，於是兜咗7個彎之後咧就變成散咗。嗱，呢個係幾用 game theory 形容到嘅情況嘅。咁就喺我嘅咁退翻一啲客觀嘅考量咧，我認為咧就係澤連斯基佢將佢提咗佢嘅要求，我希望加碼，你再俾多一啲嘢我，俾多一啲起碼同 security guarantee 有關嘅嘢。但係佢咁樣講咗咧，佢會冇一個更大風險咧，就係佢真係傾唔成。又咁講，澤連斯基唔通你又可以忍受？你係咪真係冇一個風險係美國唔撐你先？其實佢冒唔起嘅，即係話呢，澤連斯基係更需要傾呢個deal，我認為。而對於 Donald Trump 嚟講呢，嗱佢又俾澤連斯基兜口兜面咁樣呢，就夾，即係叫嚼咗一鑊，炒咗一鑊。你係雕王嚟噶嘛？係咪？嗱，你係大佬，你係大食細嘅。你可以鬧一面皮，你可以點都得，但最後傾唔到deal，咁你咪樣衰咯。所以呢，我認為 Trump 呢邊呢，又係更加需要deal，其實兩邊係更加需要deal。嗱，所以呢件事爛咗之後呢，我係大膽可能係少數地預測呢，其實deal會更快傾成，即係被逼啊，係嘛咁樣。好啦，第二個角度去諗啦，呢啲說話呢，可能就忍咗好耐噶啦。即係澤連斯基，佢聽過好多就係，喂，你咪俾美國自己恰到上門啊，如取如攜啊，你係咪出賣咗烏克蘭利益啊？咁而美國呢邊呢，就呢邊嗰個右派思想就係話，喂，點解我哋要幫烏克蘭啫？係咪？係咯，隔住個海，喂，嗱，冇比較冇傷害，歐洲俾咁少，歐洲仲要有3000億凍結資金，佢仲攞得翻，係嘛？歐洲唔負責任，嗱，北約有咁少軍費，我哋要俾咁多。我哋仲要而家嘅赤字，有冇搞錯咁樣？嗱，所以就忍咗好，呢兩邊都忍咗好 Q 耐咧，就借機爆發，都唔係借機嘅，即係喺天時地利人和之下，唔知今日發生咩隻赤口，突然間嘣一聲爆發。嗱，呢個呢係從一個心理角度就去分析啦。好啦，第3個角度分析啦，就係頭先我所講啲奇妙之處啦，就係都埋尾啦。嗱，如果 Donald Trump 有心去呢件事唔好化大呢。咁佢其實佢有絕對有能力同埋權威打完場嚇。咁但係第一 JD Vance 無厘頭，即係唔係我覺得咁樣去回應個記者，而澤連斯基其實可以唔理佢噶，佢都唔係答你，但佢冇啦啦話咩 Can I ask you 咁樣，咁又搞翻 JD Vance， 然後 Donald Trump 咧佢可以收工，但係佢又突然間參戰，仲要主導呢場罵戰，咁就令到我覺得喺美國呢一邊。係咪有心？其實發個爛渣呢，就係咁樣。好啦，嗱咁啊，俾咗啲嗱，我唔係話我講啲嘢好一定啱，而係話我相信呢啲角度比較少人講啲咁樣。咁希望呢，就你哋，我相信你哋都會有你哋嘅判斷嚇，去睇呢件事就唔好咁即係除咗好簡單第一個角度就成為咗一個即係驚天地泣鬼神嘅真人 show，你可以當一場鬧劇。 或者你覺得 Donald Trump 就好橫蠻無理係咪？好似好大石砸死蟹，好淨利益為上以之外，嗱我冇反對你啊，之外會唔會仲有啲眉頭眼額我哋可以留意到呢？咁樣咁咧，下一次嘅節目就再同大家見面啦，就希望冇咁多號外，我覺得出去即係要即係點樣講啊？即係有其他行程嘅 ，OK 咁樣。好啦，咁啊做咗半個鐘頭。如果你係滿意，即係或者都中意我哋做多啲呢啲咁樣嘅號外嘅話呢，咁啊感謝你嘅大力支持CLS 安全情況之下 Patreon 請飲咖啡都好感謝。咁我哋團隊我哋CC新聞繼續努力啦。Thank you，拜拜。